Let me start off by saying Elimination is my favorite game mode. I might have some gripes with it, but that doesn't mean I don't like the game mode as it is. I just think it could use some improvements. Hi, my name is MrSmartDonkey, and in this video I'm going to go over everything I don't like about Elimination and my suggestions on how to improve it. Let's start with the complaint that I see most commonly among fellow players, the revive system. Currently revives are very simple. If your teammate isn't executed, you may stand over their body, hold your respective button, and as long as you don't get interrupted, your teammate will be fit as a fiddle after a mere second or two. By fit as a fiddle, I mean they will be revived with 100% of their HP, with no downsides whatsoever. This is where the major complaint stems from. Let's use a common example. After some heroic fighting, it's just you and one enemy player left, both of you having low health. All your teammates are executed, but the enemy still has a teammate nearby that can be revived. Your enemy happens to be spec'd for quick revives, and while you're doing everything in your power to keep them away from their revivable teammate, you get knocked away for a short second and your enemy manages to revive their teammate. Both you and your initial enemy are still low, but now there's another enemy to contend with, who's at full health, and all of a sudden your odds of winning have been reduced to a shimmer. This is something that happens on a frequent basis in different circumstances. I'm all for having revives be a mechanic, but I think there are some ways to make it much more fair. First of all, reviving could take a little longer. Simply having feats and gear turned off is a great start so that people can't spec for revives. Feats and gear are topics I will go into more detail on later in the video though. More importantly however, I think being revived with 100% HP is the main problem. Why not have someone come back with 50% HP, or even 25%? These people essentially just died, and you're telling me you can magically make them come back without a single scratch? Another solution to that same problem is to be revived with lower HP each time you get revived. For example, the first time you get revived you come back with 66% HP, the second time with 33% HP, and after that you're permanently dead. Finally, you could make it so that those who have been revived come back with full health, but their entire health pool will slowly drain over a period of time, like they're bleeding out. I personally don't like that too much though, as your opponents can just keep running away until you die or at least get low enough. These are just some examples of how I think reviving could be changed a little, as I currently feel it's just a little too strong. Since I mentioned them just now, let's talk about feats next. Currently in Elimination, feats are turned on, which I think is a terrible design flaw in the game mode. Elimination is essentially a 4v4 duel and brawl. In duel and brawl, feats are turned off, so why would they be turned on in Elimination? It's a terrible case of the rich get richer. If your team wins the first round, most of you will usually have at least your first 1 or 2 feats unlocked. In some cases, this means you're throwing weapons and other such feats to give you a clear advantage in the next round. Because of this, you will likely win the second round too, giving you access to your longbows, your full health restored, your traps and your catapults. Elimination is supposed to be a skill-based game mode, but having feats on completely eliminates, get it, any skill-based gameplay and encourages toxic behavior like running away from your initial opponent to 2v1 someone else. Of course, most of the active feats like throwing weapons and catapults can be dodged, but there's nothing worse than being in a skillful 1v1 you think you might be able to win, only to find an arrow sticking in your back moments later from an enemy that showed up behind you. Turning feats off also partially fixes the revive issue we talked about before, as it will mean revives will always be slower since you can't have passives to drastically increase your revive speed. There are some other methods of reducing this problem too. For example, why not limit the feats in Elimination to tier 1 and 2? That way it excludes all the major game changes like catapults and arrow storms, while still keeping the minor feats that will only give you a slight edge like the kunai, smoke bombs, and being able to sprint while out of stamina. Finally, a solution could be to limit feats to passives only, but I don't think this would work since not all characters have a passive in each feat tier. I've also mentioned gear before, so let's make that our next topic. Gear stats aren't so much an issue at early levels as they are later. The way gear stats are designed is they're meant to be balanced. Gain a little bit of X, lose a little bit of Y. I'm all for this, as it makes you strong in one aspect but much weaker in another. The problem I have with this is that later in the game, when everyone has a gear level of 50 plus, it starts to become a contest to see who can get the most revenge uptime. Certain pieces of gear will make the revenge meter feel faster from being hit or from defending. When people spec for this, they can get revenge after getting hit just a few times. I honestly think this is a problem in all game modes that have gear on, but mostly in Elimination. Once again, the same argument can be made as I made for feats. In duel and brawl, gear stats are turned off, so why would they be turned on in Elimination? You have but a single life each round, and if that entire life is spent fighting someone who gained revenge after blocking just a few attacks, it will feel very unsatisfactory to die to them right away and be unable to participate for the rest of the round. At least in the minion and skirmish you'll respawn after a few seconds to try again, but even then if your enemies can keep their revenge going longer, you're fighting a constant disadvantage battle. The only real solution I see to this issue is straight up turning gear stats off. Let the minion and skirmish be the playgrounds for gear and feats, and let's keep Elimination as skill based as it can possibly be. To clarify, I am all for having revenge in Elimination, as it gives you a chance when you're outnumbered and it rewards defensive gameplay. Just don't speed up that process of gear stats. The next topic is in a similar vein, boosts. I'll start by saying I actually like the boosts. As much as I keep whining about keeping Elimination a skill-based game mode, I think the boosts add a bit of extra depth. Especially if gear stats and feats are turned off, they will be the only thing to give someone a slight edge, which I think is totally fine. The problem I have with them is their location. On certain maps there will be a boost right next to where you and your initial enemy start, and immediately a fight will begin to obtain that boost. For example, if you're playing against a Warlord or Conqueror with their pushes and shoves, it will be extremely difficult to win that fight, giving them the boost, and all of a sudden your 1v1 will become extremely difficult to win. Alternatively, you might start against an assassin character, and the first thing they do in the 1v1 is run away from you towards a speed boost, and use that to grab other boosts and help out their teammates. Having the boosts available from the start of each round encourages toxic behavior and can make 1v1s turn into a nightmare, even on the first round. The easiest solution to a problem like that would be to turn off the boosts altogether, but I think I have a better solution. Why not set the boost on a timer, make it so they can't be picked up for the first 30 seconds of the round? That way people can't abuse the system and it doesn't encourage toxic behavior. Sure, your initial enemy can still run away from you, but at least you'll be able to keep up as they can't grab a speed boost right away. After picking up a boost they go on cooldown too, so why not start the round with that same cooldown? It only makes sense. Finally, there's one more thing that annoys me to no end in Elimination. This might be the most nitpicky thing on the list, but it should also be the easiest to fix. I absolutely despise it when I come up against someone who's clearly better than me, or their character straight up counters mine, and after they've demolished me in the first round, I'm up against the same damn person again in the next round. How difficult could that be to fix? Why isn't there a set rotation in place to make sure something like that doesn't happen? The worst thing is that if the series goes to the 5th round, more often than not I'm up against that same damn person again, 3 times in 5 rounds. How in the world does that make any sense? I'm not sure if this is the same for everyone or if it only happens to the person who hosts the group, but whenever I'm playing with friends I usually host, and this happens almost every single game. Of course, sometimes it works in my favor and I kill the same opponent 2 rounds in a row, but I'd still prefer to come up against a different person each round. There's 4 players on each team, how hard can it be to make an algorithm that rotates your opponents evenly? Those are my ways to improve the Elimination game mode in For Honor. Do you have any other suggestions or prefer things the way they are? Let me know in the comments. If you like these types of videos, please consider supporting me on Patreon. Also make sure to join my Discord channel if you just want to hang out and chat. Thank you very much for watching, hope you've enjoyed, have a good day and goodbye.